Defense Department leaders warn if their budgets shrink, every area of operations will feel the impact. New research shows, though, that the department's spending on cyber is already going down. Tara Murphy Dougherty is Chief Executive Officer at Govini. Tara, welcome back. Thanks for coming back on the program. And thanks for providing us with this research. We have a link to it at govmatters.tv/resources. How is the budget for cyber shrinking? Is this real dollars? Is this proportional to the growth of the threat, to the growth of the demand of at the department? What are you seeing?
We are seeing a flat line on cyber, which is a significant reversal of the that we've seen over really the foundation or establishment of cybercom in 2010, and especially in the period of time from fiscal year 2016 to fiscal year 2019, when DoD spending on cyber increased by over 153%. When you look now at the projected investments in cyber in DoD from FY 2019 through the end of the FYDP 2025 at that point, you see not even investments keeping pace with inflation, which we're expecting about 14% over that period, and yet only expecting about 9% increase in cyber spending. So in the context of what's happening with overall budget trends, the reversal in terms of continued prioritization on cyber is really what's noteworthy.
Do we know if that's as a result of the maturation of some of the programs that were initiated under those big bursts that you referred to, or is this more because of the nature of the contraction overall, or the expected contraction overall of the budget, or some factors that we can't identify?
Great question. And you hit on something in there that's really, really important. Defense leaders have a very difficult time tracking the progression or advancement of programs across different accounts. So with cyber in particular, we saw previously significant spending increases in the S&T phases of the research, development, testing, and evaluation account. Essentially, that was DoD saying we're going to do novel early stage research in the science and technology space to identify advancements in cyber. Now what we're seeing is a shift in the spending trends to later phases of the RDT&E account, which means the department is focusing more on prototyping and capability development in order to field operational systems, as well as potentially leveraging more mature commercial technologies. So one of the things that DoD uses data for is to try and get a sense of, are things progressing, or are they actually changing course because the strategy isn't working and they need to inject something else into cyber in order to achieve mission objectives.
So that's a description of where the money is going. Where is the money not going? What used to get money that isn't getting as much or isn't getting any anymore, Tara?
Well, we're seeing a significant increase in workforce development on the cyber side. And so that's actually drawing funding away in some places from capabilities. That might be an okay shift. That might be a brilliant shift. But it's hard to tell without the ability to measure the return on investment in these cyber investments and across the board. And that's another area where the department is really looking to data to see if it can change course. We're seeing that decline as well in the S&T investments, and we're not seeing a commensurate increase in those later stages RDT&E spending or projected spending. And so the question becomes, again, will we be able to measure the outcome and the impact and the performance of where the dollars are actually going, so that we know whether there's more efficacy out of injecting investment early on or in later stages, or likely there's a balance that DoD is trying to strike.
You kind of alluded to where I wanted to go next, which is the emphasis, the increase in spending at the RDT&E level. I'm an amateur, so I would read that to mean they're kind of going back to the drawing board in some respects. Is that a fair way to look at this, or does this mean that they're potentially looking at new technologies that they haven't pursued before? You referenced the commercial tech and so on.
Definitely always looking at new technologies. And, as we see events like the SolarWinds hack and the extent of the breadth of impact of that hack and cybersecurity incident on DoD and the rest of the federal government, it really shows that we need to continue to advance in this area. There are countries around the world, including Russia, including North Korea, that are very effective operators in cyberspace. And so in order to maintain the U.S. military advantage in this domain, we're going to have to continue to invest in novel technologies at the early stages. So let's hope those investment numbers don't get too low, as well as looking to the commercial sector in order to achieve leapfrog technologies or game-changing kinds of impacts. We're also seeing significant investment in developed programs. And so Unified Platform out of the Air Force, for example, is a more than $100 million program focused on interoperability in cyberspace. And so there really is still a spread of investment across the board in order to achieve cyber strategic goals that DoD has. And I think the question will be, is it enough?
Tara Murphy Dougherty, it's great research, and I appreciate you coming on to talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Francis.